All right, here's a walk around of my 1983 Toyota Land Cruiser. It's a B as in boy, J60. And yep, it's got a diesel. So looking up front here, you got truck light LED headlights and got a custom wiring harness for all that. Pretty much up front, it's stock factory bumper that I've straightened. Had a little accident before I bought it and bent the bumper. But it looks pretty good, and most people are going to replace that anyway, so I left it alone. I thought I'd take a quick tour under the hood. There's the sky for a moment. Sorry, I'm doing this alone. Here we go. So it's a lot under here, but it's really simple actually. You got the 3B diesel motor. All right, it's a 4-cylinder, 3.0-liter direct injection diesel. And what I've added to it is a turbocharger. Schwitzer makes this, Borg-Warner. That's the other brand they're associated with. So it's a small turbo. It's really rated for an engine about this size and with this RPM range that it uses. So it only produces right now 10 PSI, but you can go higher. I've had it higher, but I feel like, you know, with this particular engine setup, unless you're like building the engine, you want to keep it around there. Anyways, so that's the turbo. I added a water air intercooler, as you can see, and it's plumbed with these silicone hoses down to the heat exchanger here. And there is a sneaky little 12-volt pump mounted down here, and here's the reservoir for it. So that just helps keep the intake temperatures down a little bit. Things that are new on this engine, just had to replace this idler pulley bearing. The fan clutch is a couple years old, and I have modded it so that it engages earlier and keeps everything cool. I had all the fuel injectors rebuilt by a diesel shop here earlier this year. I think it was in May. And let me go around to the other side here so you can see it. Alternator is a couple years old. I bought a alternator from a different Land Cruiser, new, has a little bit higher output. And then looking down here, the AC compressor. Unfortunately, the AC system is leaking at the moment, so that needs to be addressed at some point. I've had the radiator record, and I have also I've done a lot of new seals, new thermostat. You can kind of see down here, it's got an integrated oil cooler. I redid all the seals on that, cleaned out the cooling elements. Yeah, obviously I wrapped the exhaust. That helps a little bit keep the components around here from getting too hot. So yeah, that's it under the hood. I've got a actually, I've got the distribution block here. So I've got a couple of different accessories going off this. The 12-volt pump for the intercooler is on there, and it's got options for more things. Currently, I have the trailer harness running into it, so it's all fused. And I kind of went overkill with the cabling. Got some pretty big cables in there. This is a relay for the headlights. So this is something you have to add to run LED headlights because of the way it's grounded. So that was a add-on I did, and you can see it's the guy who makes these is like ridiculous. They're really nice. Wagon Way or Wagon Gear or something like that. I did do a brake upgrade on this truck too. So you've got the master cylinder comes from a T100, a 90s T100, and then because of the larger brake calipers, well, we'll get to that. The brake calipers are from a 4Runner, so they're a little bit upgraded. And then I've got a brake proportioning valve here, which lets you control how much the drums in the rear take up, and it just gives you a balance between front and rear, which is pretty handy. Otherwise, yeah, that's pretty much it. This thing's real mechanical, so I'm gonna start it up now and let you see what it looks like and sounds like. So we come in here to the cab, and I've got a manual glow switch. This is to replace the timer. So you don't need to run a timer anymore. You just hold it down. I usually do about 5 seconds, 10 seconds, depends on the weather, really, if it's cold. You got all your gauges up top. These are important. You drive by this gauge. 1200 degrees Fahrenheit is a safe maximum. Beyond that, and you start risking hurting parts. So this is really my speedometer right here. And then down here, you've got oil pressure. Okay, so you can see a real oil pressure. You got the control to turn on the intercooler pump. It's a simple 12 volt. It's on a relay as well, so it's all fused. Everything's good there. This is your boost gauge. You'll see when I get on the road, it tops out at 10. That's where I have it set to. There's a wastegate on the turbo. And then you got water temperature, and it'll run anywhere from like 185 up to 210. Just really depends on what you're doing with it. Okay, so now for the big moment. Let's see, it's gonna be hard with just one hand. But so you turn the ignition like this, and then you go over here, press the glow, and you'll see the glow light come on. 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, baby. And sometimes I'll give it a little more glow. Let's get that cylinder nice and hot. And she's going. And you can see here you've got RPMs, all the gauges work. I'm almost out of fuel. Voltmeter. This is the dummy oil pressure, doesn't really tell you much. Coolant. That's real oil pressure. So as the vehicle warms up, that'll come back down to probably 40. And it's got a nice little choke lever. Oh, you can set the throttle, let it warm up. And then I've just got a little doohickey here. It lets you see the volts. Yeah. So the real fun part is how it sounds. I'll roll down the window so you can hear it. Let's come back up here. This is gonna be a little noisy, but you can see it's clattering away. You know, these diesels are loud and kind of obnoxious, but that's why I like it. Here's my throttle lever here. There it is. I've got the exhaust mounted out in front of the passenger rear tire, the MagnaFlow. That's why it sounds fun. Zoom back out a little bit. And here's the rest of the walk around. I'll probably turn the motor off while I do this so you can hear. I usually, boop, just remember to turn that off. Again, 5-speed transmission. There's your transfer case. And when I had the transfer case rebuilt about 5 years ago, I had them mod it so that you can do low 2 by just taking it across. And what that allows for is it's got an Aussie locker in the back. So, you know, if you don't really want 4-wheel drive and you just want to kind of like go over stuff, you can do that without having to drive the front hubs or anything like that. So high 4 all the way over is low 4, and you can hear it engaging. That's neutral, and that's engaged. Yep, all the way over. And then if you want to go up to low 4, or sorry, low 2, you can go there. So back to high. All this stuff works basically. Again, I said the AC has a coolant freon leak, so sorry about that. Rear defroster, rear wiper works. I think the squirter's got a leak though, so I don't ever really use that anyway, so it's not a big deal. But you got your original ashtray, stereo. I've got a Alpine subwoofer under the seat, controlled here. That you can just tweak the bass level to get it where you want. This thing is actually pretty good. It's got USB, Bluetooth, and it's got a built-in CD, HD radio. And then in the glove box, it actually has a USB port, so you can take a stick with MP3s and stuff on there and play. That's kind of nice. And the cup holders, it's a joke. Anyways, there's that. What else we got? The seats in here, I replaced the seats from the original seats because they were totally shot with these from a Nissan Frontier, and I know they're not the right color. They're in decent shape. The cush is really good on them. Oh, I need to detail this thing. And these are just cheapo whatever seat covers to go on top, but this is like way better than it was stock. It rides up a little bit higher and gives you way more support. There's a sub I was talking about. I got Polk Audio component speakers and an Alpine amp under the dash, powering those. These are actually a pretty high quality floor mat for the vehicle. They're for FJ60s, and I love them. They catch all the sand and stuff. You just dip them out. Door cards are in fair shape. You know, you got all the original fabric on here and everything, and you can see the bottom edge of this door. This is a good one. There's not really any rust down there. Rocker panel's good on this side, up around. All the locks and everything are all good. Glass is good. There's the rear. Rear's a little bit cleaner because nobody rides back here. But you can see all that. And again, I got the full length. I did take this out recently. I was out driving around, so it's a little bit dirty, but you know, I like to play with it. So you can see the rear platform here. The seats are fully up in this position, and you get the whole rear platform is kind of all contained. And then when I camp, I usually fold that forward. You know, you got all your seat belts underneath there, and then you just flip that up. Rides down. You got a lot of storage underneath, and then this folds out to be a sleeping platform. Comes all the way across and rests up on this ledge here. And I'm 6'5", and I can lay totally straight with this thing out. So I'll deploy that in a minute. All right. I locked it. Here we go. Sorry, you might have to take a Dramamine to watch this video. I got new struts on here, so it opens itself. These curtains I put on back in, like, I think it was 09. I did a road trip up to Canada for 6 weeks, and I was sleeping back here, so I wanted some privacy. And they're just held on these paracords that run all the way up to the front, and they're easy. I mean, they're pretty old, but they do the job. They give you a little privacy, keep it a little cooler in here. Hang on. So these old tailgates don't have the nice spring that helps let it down, so it's kind of a two-handed operation. Otherwise it slams. But yeah, lots of space in the back. It's pretty simple back here. These are starting to wear. Honestly, if I was gonna keep it, I would totally replace these panels with wood and make some storage in there. That would be like a long-term project. As you can see, I've got some rear speakers in there, and yeah, they sound all right. It's okay. I guess I'll bring you down over to the passenger side. Now, here's where we have a little bit of, you can tell I play hard. I took it through a place in Borrego called The Squeeze, and you can see why it's named that. I'm lucky that this is this, and then up here on the rain gutter, that's the worst that happened. It's a little bruise there. I mean, I call it a story and character. Some people don't like that. You can see we've been out in the talc out there running around, but that's the rear heater under the seat, by the way. Yeah, it's all pretty basic, you know. That's one of the nice things about these old Land Cruisers is there's manual everything. So no motors to fail, no electronics to go bad. They're really reliable. You might notice up there in the back that rear light, that's an LED light. That one too. These things are like, watch out. At night, it lights us up like it's daylight in here, with both of these on especially. I did a whole retrofit of all the lights on the vehicle, so they're all LED, I think, except the license plate light. That's my snorkel. It's not a name brand or anything, but it's all plumbed up and sealed, so it gives you a little better, cooler air and dust free. That's your big air filter in there. These things are awesome, massive. If you want to look at the tires and wheels, the tires, they look a little dirty, but they're pretty much new. I think I have maybe 2,000 miles on them, if that. The wheels are 16s. These are the Aisin locking hubs. They work good. Got the Bilstein shocks, those are new as well. New bushings on my stabilizer bar. Take you down here. Steering stabilizer, that's new. It's Old Man Emu. I put that on at the beginning of the year. The differentials have the 4.1 gears in them. Those I got off an FJ62 and installed. That's a little bit messy in there. These knuckles, they leak and they need to be reserviced every, I don't know how many thousand miles. It just depends on how you use it. Those are due. Again, if I was keeping it, I'd do all this stuff, but I'm like, you know what? It's a good project for a new owner to learn how these things work. I wanted to show you another rust spot. This is probably the worst of it. Down here is the bottom of this door. And it's been this way since I owned it. And in Vegas, we don't really get rain, so it's not a big deal. And I think I used a rust treatment on it a long time ago, and it's pretty stable. You got the appropriate label on your fuel tank and on your cap. So it's all good there. Nice they have a key lock for it. Yeah, I'll take you underneath the truck. You can take a look and see what's going on down here. Drive shaft, I just had the U-joints replaced on there with Japanese U-joints. I had a shop do that because they got to press them in. It's kind of a pain. That's the rear diff. That's got the Aussie locker in there. And you can look up Aussie locker and understand that. Your rear shocks. You can see the paint on the transmission transfer case. They painted it blue after they rebuilt it, just so you could tell. Yeah, it's pretty much the underneath. Most of all of this is just like dirt on here. There's no actual rust, which I'm really happy about. I got it from a guy who got it from California before he put the engine in, so yeah, that's all good. I got my spare mounted back under there. So that spare is it's on a different rim. It's on the factory rim. I only bought 4 of these rims when I bought them. But it works. It's the same size tire. And it's pretty new as well. It's a BFG mud terrain. And that is probably the best feature of this truck right there, is that tailgate. Makes a nice seat. And yeah, this bumper cap's a little tweaked. I had a pretty steep departure angle going up an obstacle and managed to nick it right there. Otherwise it's all good. Still got my original mud flaps, and that's it. If you have any questions, shout it out. Love your feedback. Thank you.